there were times when I was living out abroad and I would tell people that I'm an American. I would get this response that'd be like, oh, pew, 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 yeah, guns and yeah, all that stuff. And in my head, I'm like, no, we're not always about guns and, violence and stuff. I was born and raised there. I never really had this fear for guns and that someone was just gonna shoot you randomly. But I got that sentiment, not like all the time I was introducing myself as an American, but enough times where I started to kind of like waver in some thoughts. I'm like, is that how things really are now? There's no way, right? After coming back from Korea, it, didn't feel like it was worse or anything. But then within the past couple of like months, couple weeks, at least from recording this video, there seems to have been like an increased amount of violent crimes that have been happening. I unfortunately can't name all of them, but along the lines of like the assassination of Charlie Kirk, all the school shootings that have been happening with like Colorado and Minnesota, Minneapolis. I think there was like a beheading of some sort, like in Dallas or something. It feels like it's been almost like one each week or like, I don't know, every other day, and it's kind of scary. And I'm like, what? What is going on? Like, why does America feel so much more dangerous now than in previous me leaving for Korea and then like even previous like past 20 years ago? It just feels a lot more dangerous. And it's interesting because I was looking up the data and the stats actually says that the violent crimes have gone down. But then I'm like, how can that be true when it just feels like every time I'm like looking at social media or on the news, I feel like there's always something crazy or something dangerous going on, or someone's dying or someone's getting killed. Then I'm like, oh, well, maybe that's why, because on social media, what sells on social media? It's bad news, right? Negative news. All these things sell on social media, on general mainstream media as well. And so, what's mainstream media going to cover? They're going to cover all these shootings, these deaths, these killings. And I think now, more than ever, with the rise of like TikTok and like shorts and reels and fast paced social media, it feels almost as if you're being bombarded by bad news all the time. And it's strange now because now that everyone has access to the internet and access to being able to publicize their thoughts and their opinions and stuff online, it's not just like the mainstream media now that is like going on about these news and updating people about like worldly events. It's like just everyone now. Everyone has an input. Everyone has something to say. And everyone, I don't know if this is the right way to really phrase it, but everyone wants some sort of fame. And so what is going to give views, what's going to give likes, what's going to give clicks? Everyone is reporting their thoughts and opinions and views on the tragedies around the world. And it's not to say that you can't, but it's getting to a point where, like, with the way the algorithm in social media works, is that if I, for like one more additional second, stare at some sort of negative news, some sort of like school shooting, some sort of assassination or whatever, for like 1 or 2 more seconds, the next time I swipe up, it's going to show me more of that. And it's going to continue to bombard me with all of that. And everyone continues to speak on that. And it's not just like that one specific thing. It becomes like it becomes a flood of all negative news, all violent crime news that comes into your feed, and this just kind of fuels the perception of like, oh, America does kind of feel a little bit more dangerous than it did before. It feels like with social media, violence feels as if it's around you all the time. But then I'm also like, there's a little bit more to it too, right? Like, I understand that, like, as a person who's done social media and stuff, I understand that, social media isn't reality, right? And so, and if I try to match that with the data, yeah, violent crime maybe has gone down. And, coming back from Korea, without looking at social media, it does feel like, America's fine. Like, it seems like America's fine. then what else is kind of fueling this thought that like, oh, it's a little bit more dangerous? And I think it's like the type of crime feels as if it's if it feels like it's more sporadic. It feels like it's more random, and it feels like it's even more chaotic. It's getting to a point where like, I used to have this perception that like, oh, if there was a violent crime, it would only happen like in a dark alleyway somewhere, like late at night or something, or like in a really bad neighborhood or something. But nowadays, it feels as if like everything that at least I'm seeing is like, oh, it's happening at schools, it's happening in public events, it's happening at like, well, movie theaters. It's happening in places where there's a bunch of witnesses. It's happening in broad daylight. It's happening randomly. It's happening anywhere now. And so you start to get this like psychological fear as well. Even though the data has gone down, it's kind of like, okay, where can I go that's safe now? Like I can't nowadays. It feels as if I can't even like walk around the mall or walk around a grocery store without having to be a little bit like cautious in the back of my head and being like, okay, who might or might not have a gun, who might just be having a really bad day and they just might pull something. And then I want to push this back to like social media, because like, yeah, perception versus reality is always can be separated, but also at the same time, I feel like the way social media has been growing and the way communities within social media or online has been growing, it's starting to shape reality a lot more than it should be. And I've taken the time to like watch some of these videos about certain incidents that have been happening, and I've made some content about certain incidents as well. And it's just so interesting to see. It's so, I don't know about interesting, but it's really almost sad and like a little bit disappointing to see the amount of comments that just go in with the amount of hatred, the amount of backlash, the amount of just like, yeah, hatred that they will spew especially from like a blank profile picture, even to some of the most mild takes on certain conflicts. People are just so ready to trash anyone or anything that is like slightly against their opinions now. And it's crazy because like with the way social media works, it's that they're anonymous, right, on profile. The likes that they would get, like let's say they get like 100 likes. Now they think, oh yeah, I'm correct on this. Look at this. 100 people support me on my thoughts on this. Not only that, you can reply to these comments. And so there are people who reply to the comments and they'll be like, yeah, tell them blah, 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 blah about this. And I support you so totally about this. And it becomes this echo chamber, right? It becomes an echo chamber of hatred. And the really sad part is that like some of these comments, whether they know it or not, whether they are purposely trying to or not, becomes like these comments where they start to justify violent crimes. And I don't really know if like that is the exact phrase I'm trying to look for, like that they're trying to justify the violent crime, but it's becoming to a point where like these specific people, they just like, they wrong one side so much that at some point in their kind of psychological belief that this wrong side is so wrong that I guess that they almost become desensitized that death or that like killing of someone is not a violent crime, because I don't know, man. And it's become really interesting because now there are communities of these people that exist now, and they again, they echo chamber each other. And I even looked it up that like some of these like newer school shootings, like some of the reasons that they wanted to do school shootings is because they actually admire the other school shooters. I think it just becomes scary where I mean, obviously I should try to stay away from this side of social media, but like if I do even the slightest dive into it, it starts to kind of feel like there is like some sort of like, I don't know, ticking time bomb of people. I'm not saying this is for everybody, but certain people out there who are just waiting until that they get enough of a momentum to where, I don't know, where violent crimes is not a crime anymore for them to use as an answer to solve the problems that they feel that is wrong with their current society or within their current bubble or world. I think that's kind of, it's very dangerous. It's very scary. Yeah, I honestly don't really know what else to say about this. It's becoming kind of like a reverse culture shock for me. And I'm not saying Korea is the most amazing country either. They obviously have their own flaws, but it's strange to me now, at least, to come back home that I cannot walk the streets of my local city even at like sunset anymore without having to worry about something potentially going wrong. Even, I mean, like back to what I was saying, even in daylight anymore, it feels like I can't walk around in broad daylight without having a little bit of that fear in the back of my head, being like, okay, something might go wrong. Never once in a moment did I feel that in any of the other 7 countries that I've visited. Maybe I'm just blessed. Maybe just it happens that those are, I went to very safe countries too. But also, I mean, America is supposed to be a very safe country, right? Like, at least that's how I've always thought about my own home country until just recently. Like, this isn't like some sort of political talk or I'm not trying to make this into some sort of political agenda, but I do find it a little bit, I guess, disturbing how much the US, I wouldn't say like advocating for violence, but almost in a sense where people are ignoring the other solutions or beelining the solution to all their problems, whether it be like mental health, whether it be like problems at work, problems at school, problems with your friends, problems, just any problem, like global problems, that the answer is just violence. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I just got to get off social media. I mean, that is often the case why like I don't post consistently, or I don't like try to put too much on social media, because I know how dangerous it can be for myself mentally. And maybe this is all just in my head, but also at the same time, perception can shape reality a little bit, and psychologically it can affect you. And so, I gotta stay away from, negative news feed, I guess. But also at the same time, it's hard to ignore too, because you want to, like, knowledge is power. So you want to know if certain things are happening. You want to know that you should stay away from certain things. Obviously, my channel is not going to be about talking about politics and stuff all the time. I told one of my viewers that I am trying to get someone to talk about like dating stuff and more like lighthearted topics. But just with the recent news, this has been kind of weighing down on me a little bit. And I don't like talking about politics too much either. So I didn't want to like make this whole segment to politics. I'm glad I didn't, but I did just want to release some of my thoughts about like my current fears and how it's kind of being shaped right now. And I wish I didn't have this kind of fear coming back home, because I love America so much, but it's hard to kind of balance that love when you're fearful of it. I don't know. I don't know any solution to this. I am just gonna try to stay away from all that negativity, and I hope that I can bring you guys more like lighthearted fun things to watch and listen to, and things to help with like my own personal mental growth in life. And that's kind of always what I am hoping for all of my viewers as well. And until next time, thank you guys for watching and listening. Peace out.